So first of all, I want to say happy first day of school to all of my former students, my clients, and to everyone out there who started school today. I just wanted to take a minute because of a few things that have come up in conversation and just a couple of experiences that I've had in the last day or so. I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to have a free, appropriate public education, which is commonly referred to as FAPE. And what FAPE is a legal right under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act in the United States. So what does it mean for a school district to provide a free, appropriate public education? Well, I've known about this for my entire career as a teacher, and so I asked ChatGPT, because we're all about the AI these days, to sum it up for me in just a few short words. And here's what it said. FAPE means that special education and related services must be provided at no cost to parents to meet the standards of the state education agency and be tailored to a child's unique needs so that they can receive meaningful educational benefit. So the key elements to FAPE are free. This means it's provided at public expense without charge to the family. Appropriate. This means the education is designed to meet the individual needs through an individualized education plan, or IEP. 3, that it's public, provided under public supervision and direction. 4, education includes both special education and related services like speech therapy, occupational therapy, counseling that prepare a student for further education, employment, and independent living. So, as an advocate, what does that mean for me? Courts have clarified that appropriate does not mean the best education possible, but one that is reasonably calculated to enable progress as established in Board of Education versus Rowley in 1982 and expanded in Andrew F. versus Douglas County School District in 2017. The school district doesn't have to provide the best education possible for your child or my child. What they need to do is provide an education commensurate to those of their non-disabled peers so that your child can make reasonable educational progress. And that's a hard one for parents. And what made me think about this is as we were going to my youngest son's private school meet the teacher yesterday, his schedule wasn't exactly how he wanted it to be. And we just recently moved him to a private school that is very well suited to meet his individual needs. And even paying private school tuition, the schedule still wasn't perfect. He didn't get all the classes he wanted because being a private school, certain classes were only offered at certain times, and some of the electives that he wanted overlapped. Now, I will say the school did amazing at trying to think outside the box and color outside the lines and really tried to make his schedule as perfect as it could be. And I think the end result we got will make him happy. He still didn't get one of the classes he really wanted to take, but we reminded him that he will be able to take that as he gets older. So even paying private school prices doesn't mean that education is going to be perfect. So my job as an advocate, what does this mean for me? It's my job to help you work with what the school district can reasonably provide to your child so that you can get as close to the best education possible. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. It's not going to be perfect. It wasn't perfect for any 3 of my kids going through school. They all struggled in different areas. And that's without an individualized education plan. 2 of my boys had 504 plans, which is kind of the step right before an IEP. But even with those 504 plans, things weren't perfect. But the school districts really tried to do the best they could to meet my children's needs. And I guess that's my job, is to see what resources could the school reasonably do on a daily basis to make sure your child is going to get everything they need to make progress in their school day, whatever that progress looks like. Every child is different, so it's hard to speak to exactly what should be happening for each individual child, because that's going to be different for everyone. But unfortunately, nobody's going to get that perfect education. No matter what you do, nothing's going to fit inside that perfect box. And quite frankly, there's really not a perfect box, because every day is going to be different for your child. Every day they're going to face new challenges emotionally, educationally, and it's our job as educators and advocates to make sure we're doing the best we can to help them navigate through this journey that is growing and learning to become independent, successful adults as much as reasonably possible. So while a lot of parents think, well, my child has an IEP, I should be getting the best education possible, unfortunately, legally, they're not required to do that. They're required to provide similar services as they would to any child in general education. So I like to think outside that box. So what can we do differently? So if we don't get a one-on-one aid, which quite frankly, I don't think a lot of parents think on how dependent your child might become on a one-on-one aid. And sometimes socially, it's not exactly the best thing for a kid. But I digress. That is something that we'll discuss later on in a different parenting seminar. But for right now, my job is to help you think, what can they do? If your child is going into the individual, like into, say, first grade, into their first grade general education classroom with a couple other first graders that have needs, and there's one aide going in there, that's actually a really good thing, because then that general education teacher is going to pay attention to your child the same as any other child in that classroom, and they still have that extra support that they need from that paraprofessional that's serving all the children in that room. So there are a lot of things that we can do. There's visuals that we can teach that general education teacher to use. There are strategies that we can teach that general education teacher to use that will make that inclusion time much more purposeful. Now, this is something I'm talking about for kiddos that need a little more help. If your kid only needs a little bit of help, then there are different things that we could do. But this is just one example of a strategy that I've used successfully in the past that is within those school district boundaries. That a school can reasonably accomplish those things using those extra visuals, using that different kind of language, using a modified assignment, and having that paraprofessional in the classroom tending not only to the 3 special education students in that classroom, but all of the children in that classroom, so everyone's getting a little bit of extra help. That's something a school district can do every single day with the resources they have, and your child will make progress. I promise you, if those general education teachers, special education teachers, and paraprofessionals are all communicating together, working together to make the best outcome with what they have to give. And so while it may not be the best, it's a pretty good educational outcome, in my opinion.